Imagine a Micro Four Thirds camera that is combining the power and robustness of a flagship, but in a more compact and stylish body that not only looks beautiful, but also meets professional standards. Too good to be true? So today OM system is back with a world first, and I had the privilege of being one of the first to test it, the OM-3. It promises the power of the current flagship, the OM-1 Mark II, but in a smaller and lighter body with an iconic design that recalls the roots of Olympus. So perfect for those that want to take pictures in a more restrained way without having to compromise on performance, right? Today I'm here in beautiful Cologne to find out exactly that. What can the OM-3 actually do and where does it reach its limits? A compact retro camera with the performance of a flagship. This sounds almost too good to be true, but let's find out. This is exactly what makes the OM-3 so exciting for me, because I have a weakness for a lot of power in an inconspicuous camera body. But let's find out if it delivers what it is promising, or if maybe compromises were necessary after all. Today I have another world first with me, the M.Zuiko 17mm f1.82, a classical focal length that should make it easier for me to capture exciting moments in this urban jungle. Shall we? Frost shimmers on the ground as the first rays of sunlight cut through the cold morning air. The real surprise isn't just the return of an iconic design, but the cutting-edge technology packed inside this compact camera. The OM-3 uses the same 20-megapixel stacked BSI sensor and TruePic-X image processor as the flagship OM-1. That's a bold move and even more remarkable considering the camera's lower price point. As a native of Cologne, this city is more than a backdrop. It mirrors exactly what the OM-3 represents: a blend of urban style and natural resilience. The cold weather reminds me of an important question: how does the OM-3 handle in such conditions? Surprisingly well. It's due to the excellent balance between size and weight. At first glance it could be mistaken for just another retro camera, but its construction is much sturdier. It's solid, nothing wobbles or creaks, and it sits comfortably in my hand. Size-wise, the OM-3 sits between the OM-1 and OM-5. It's slimmer, shorter and thinner than the OM-1, but wider and taller than the OM-5, although it is not as deep due to the lack of grip. At 47 grams heavier than the OM-5 but 98 grams lighter than the OM-1, it is more compact than the flagship, but not as compact as the OM-5 or even the EM-10 Mark IV. The OM-3 features modern technology in a magnesium body designed to endure professional demands. However, I'm unsure if this toughness extends to the camera's baseplate. Overall, it's tougher than it looks. This is complemented by its weather-resistant construction. Like the OM-1 Mark II, it's rated IP53 for splash and dust resistance and operates in sub-zero temperatures, assuming you are using the right lens. The OM-3 is smaller and lighter than the OM-1, but just as rugged. I noticed something interesting, but before we explore that, let's quickly check out the ports. The OM-3 includes a microphone and headphone jack, a USB-C port with charging and continuous power supply functionality, and a micro HDMI port just like the OM-1. Despite the smaller body, the OM-3 uses the same BLX1 battery as the OM-1, which means no compromises on battery life. However, there's only one UHS 2 compatible SD card slot compared to the OM-1's dual slots. This might be an issue for those who value data redundancy. Let me know in the comments, do you need 2 slots or is 1 enough? Personally, I prefer 2, but often end up using just 1. Beyond the frosty plains, a grassy field opens up. The iconic crane buildings on the horizon seem to invite me and the OM-3 for a perfect photo opportunity. Floods constantly reshape the riverbanks. Sunken gravel beds and reflective puddles tell a new story today, one I aim to document. After getting a feel for the body, it's time to assess the grip while testing different angles by the water. Classic cameras typically forgo a deep grip, prioritizing portability and discrete operation, especially with smaller lenses. Modern cameras, however, favor deep grips for comfort, especially with heavier lenses. So where does the OM-3 fall? Too soon to ask for a like? Let's focus on this beautiful light, then the grip. Some cameras have pronounced grips, others just a hint. The OM-3 has none. Initially I had concerns about handling given my experience with similar designs. However, these were larger and heavier and did not have two important plus points to compensate for the missing grip. First, the leather-like materials provides excellent grip, my fingers feel secure. Second, the thumb rest, which is often an optional accessory in cameras like this. Here, the thumb rest provides the necessary pressure for a solid grip. Let's not sugarcoat it, choosing the OM-3 means accepting a gripless design, but I think it works surprisingly well. The camera's balance with lenses is well tuned, only significantly heavier glass would cause it to feel front heavy. But with small prime lenses like the 17mm it's not an issue at all. After evaluating the professional build and ergonomic quirks, it's time to dive into the controls. Manual controls are fun, but I also need to react quickly to the unexpected, like here. Two controls stand out, the CP button for computational photography and what I will call the creative dial, prominently placed on the front of the camera. These buttons add value over the OM-1 if you frequently use their features. The metal creative dial clicks satisfyingly into place and will delight fans of mechanical controls, though it does require two fingers, which can briefly take your focus away. With 4 creative options, the OM-3 caters to creative minds. Art, similar to smartphones, these are preset filters that can match any mood. CRT, a color wheel for quick hue and saturation adjustments. Color for color grading, curve adjustments, and effects like vignettes. Mono for black and white enthusiasts, including options like sepia tones. Sure, if you shoot RAW and edit later, you might not use these, but for quick results such as social media posts or sharing with friends and family, it's practical. OM system emphasizes computational photography, enough to give it its own dedicated button. With a press, you can use the front dial to select the desired CP function. Press the button again to deactivate it, keeping it ready for quick access. Frequent users of Live ND or GND functions will love skipping the menu dive. For the uninitiated, ND filters darken the image, enabling longer exposures. This can make moving people vanish from a scene or create silky water effects. GND applies a gradient to selectively darken parts of the image. So the OM-3 eliminates the need for physical filters by simulating them via software. The OM-3 supports up to ND64, while the OM-1 Mark II goes to ND128. Still, ND64 covers most needs and I appreciate the innovation in software. Pixel shift is also available, creating up to 80 megapixel images. Let's look at the rest of the controls. Top right, front and rear dials, shutter release, video record, function button and a lockable mode dial. Top left, a dial for photo, video and S&Q modes, along with the power switch and live view button. Back, the layout focuses on the right side with buttons for delete, playback, a navigation pad, menu, info, AF on, and a CP button surrounded by a function dial. Two drawbacks: no joystick, which I think a professional retro camera should include, and the cramped placement of the video button makes it tricky to press. I'm curious to know what you think. Do you miss the joystick or is it not that important? Let me know your opinion in the comments. The OM-3's robust build and intuitive controls offer a premium experience. The flagship OM-1 Mark II may have a slight edge in comfort, with features like rubberized dials, but the OM-3 handles workflows efficiently. Pixel shift and ND filters are key tools for me, and the CP button is a thoughtful addition. Hybrid shooters will appreciate the seamless switch between photo and video modes. Everything essential is accessible with one hand. Overall, it's a camera with few compromises and plenty of charm. What a fantastic discovery! Untamed nature and architectural masterpieces in the same picture. New perspectives appear as if by magic. New motifs also pop up unexpectedly. Perhaps now is the perfect moment to discover the crane houses up close. takes me a moment to lift the camera and capture the surreal view in front of me. The crane buildings dominate the urban landscape, and my OM-3 with its 17mm lens is the perfect companion to explore new perspectives. Sorting through all the overwhelming impressions around me is a challenge. The sky is clear, but the cold is still sharp. Light reflects off steel and glass, creating stunning clarity. This translates into images with enhanced sharpness and well-defined lines. Normally, I rely on a flexible screen for unusual angles, but when looking directly into the sky, the EVF becomes essential if it's good enough. The viewfinder is large, bright and comfortable, great for sunny days. With a magnification of 1.37 and a resolution of 2.3 million dots, it performs well, but falls short of the OM-1 Mark II. In practice, the OM-3's EVF proves itself a strong alternative to the screen, especially under the crane buildings where it shines. The 3-inch touchscreen is fully articulating, ideal for vlogging and creative compositions. With a resolution of 1.6 million dots, it delivers detailed and bright visuals even in outdoor settings. Whether it's the same screen as the OM-1 remains unclear, but the specs suggest it might be. In terms of image quality, there's no difference between the OM-1 and OM-3, as both use the same sensor and processor. Or in other words, it's excellent. Expect an impressive dynamic range of up to 13 stops, natural color reproduction supported by accurate white balance, and a level of detail appropriate for our 20-megapixel sensor. The high-res mode pushes this even further, enabling up to 80-megapixel images. Keep in mind that I am working with a pre-production model, so I can only share JPEGs for now. The OM-3 delivers the same video capabilities as the OM-1, up to 4K 60 frames in 10-bit lock internally, no crop and no overheating issues, even though its IBIS is slightly less powerful at 7.5 stops compared to the OM-1's. It still meets my needs for smooth handheld footage and steady pans. With flagship level photo and video performance, is there still a case for the OM-1? Let's check the autofocus, burst shooting and other essential features. The autofocus impresses with 1053 autofocus points and wide subject recognition, matching the OM-1 Mark II. This precision unlocks specialized uses like wildlife and sports photography, despite the retro design's slower-paced appeal. A fast, reliable autofocus system is also a benefit for family photos and solo video creators. But dynamic subjects demand additional professional tools to capture the perfect shot. Pro Capture, the OM-1 records frames before the shutter is pressed, ensuring you don't miss the action. Blackout-free display essential for tracking subtle moments during high-speed shooting. Both features are carried over from the OM-1, along with its impressive burst speeds. And that means up to 50 frames with continuous autofocus or 120 frames in single autofocus mode. Its stacked sensor minimizes also rolling shutter, making distortion-free images possible even during rapid motion. I'm blown away, I've never seen a retro camera like this before. For exploring urban and natural settings, the 17mm lens is a great choice. Equivalent to 34mm on a full-frame sensor, it's a classic focal length. With its 1.8 aperture, it offers beautiful depth of field and solid low-light performance. The 25cm minimum focusing distance makes it versatile for close-ups too, a feature I personally appreciate. Optically, it's unchanged from its predecessor, but gains a robust metal build, weather sealing and a smaller size. However, it no longer has the manual focus clutch. But its compact design pairs perfectly with the OM-3, and it's expected to retail for around €550. The OM-3 brings new life to an iconic series while adapting key technology from the OM-1. What exactly does it take from the flagship and what not? Sensor and image processor, autofocus, subject recognition and burst shooting, blackout-free display and pro capture, the same photo and video performance for excellent results, ports and battery size, magnesium body with IP53 weather sealing, and the flexible screen for all kinds of situations. What's missing? Possibly no magnesium in a base plate, not sure, no grip, no joystick, fewer physical buttons, a lower resolution EVF, only one card slot, IBIS rated 1 stop lower, ND64 instead of 128. What's new? The retro design, dedicated buttons for creative modes and computational photography, plus a fair amount of nostalgia, and my astonishment at the price. To sum up, the OM-3 is an unusual camera, retro in design but almost as powerful as the flagship OM-1 Mark II, and at a lower price point of 1,999 euros for the body. Its exterior appeals to nostalgic photographers and fans of mechanical controls, but its durability and performance make it suitable for professional use. It can even handle sports and wildlife photography, though larger telephoto lenses may present ergonomic challenges. Overall, the OM-3 is easier to handle than many other retro cameras. If you want the highest performance in the Micro Four Thirds system, focusing on sensor quality, autofocus and burst speeds, OM system now gives you a choice, the OM-1 or the OM-3. For sports and wildlife photographers who value comfort and dual card slots, the OM-1 Mark II remains the better option. For everyone else, the OM-3 is recommended as of now as a serious and more affordable alternative for pretty much everything else you can shoot. The biggest takeaway? This isn't a niche camera, it's a wolf in retro sheep's clothing, and I really enjoyed this concept. And if you have watched this far, thank you so much. Please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up if you think my work deserves a wider audience. This is Through the Poetic Lens, and I hope to see you in the next video.